So one of the things that I've been needing to do that I can do inside the cabin where it's not raining is I really need to case the window in the loft. So the plan is to get the miter saw set up out here on the deck where we'll be out of the rain, and go ahead, take some measurements and start working on that. But before I set up that miter saw, I need to go up and try to just cut away all of the spray foam that I use to seal around the window. So that'll be step one, cut all that away, and then see if I can break away the shims that are under the window. So let me go inside and I'll show you what I got to do. All right, what I've got is this pine, which is a blue stained pine, and it's actually dusty, folks, because it's sat here for so long, so I'm going to need to clean it off. But that kind of gives you an idea of what I've got for my window trim. And let's go up here and I'll show you where I need to put it. All right, so we've got this window. It's been like this a while, and you can see I've got to cut all this foam out, break any shims I put in, pull these curtains off, and then all I got to do is run that trim all around there. Darcy will be thrilled. If you haven't been up in the loft before, well, welcome to the loft. I know it's a bit crammed with some buckets and storage stuff, but that's the master bedroom. It's a little bit messy right now because I'm going to do some work in here, so you'll have to forgive me for that. Kind of give you an idea, all of the paneling that you see is paneling that I made on my sawmill. So if you've never been up here in the loft, well, now you got an idea. You're going to see a bunch of foam over there. That's from the battle with the rats, folks. Several years ago, I had quite the battle, and I had to put some hardware cloth up here along this peak, hardware cloth and steel wool. And then before I could finish off the roof up here, I had to put some plywood in and hardware cloth, everything I can. That's what that fencing is, rabbit fence or hardware cloth. They can't chew through it. And we put it all through the peak up here so that they can't chew through it, and now they don't bother us anymore. And eventually we'll pull all that down and finish the paneling, but it's done okay for now. So now I've got the bed covered up. All I got to do now is get my knife and start cutting all that stuff. So we're going to get started on that here in just a second. All right, so I got to get myself some tools and things and get together, and then as soon as I've got those together, we'll get working on that window. I'll bring you along for the ride. We'll head down, start gathering up some tools, and we'll get started. And yes, these stairs are steep, folks. All right, here we go, folks. All right, all we got to do is start getting this stuff pulled away. So what I plan on doing is just taking a razor knife or something, trying that, and if that doesn't work, which is not really working very well, try a longer knife. See if we can kind of cut that away. And theoretically, I've got enough foam underneath here that I should be able to clean this up. And obviously I've got a shim right here. We've just got to kind of go down the whole wall, anywhere where we've put this foam. It's been there for years, folks. I put these windows in 2010. Needless to say, Darcy's been giving me a hard time. Now, clean some of this garbage up first. Tim had a great idea, because I don't have any chisels here anymore. I took them all home. He suggested I try using a hatchet to chop these shims away, and I thought, what a great idea. So folks, we're going to do some cabin chisel work with a hatchet. Perfect. All right, now Now, I've seen guys build cabins without putting any felt or anything on the wood. They frame up the cabin and then they start building it, and they don't put tar paper in or anything else. And honestly, you shouldn't build that way. The tar paper helps as a moisture barrier, and that helps prevent molds and things like that. So it's really important to do that. It can also help with drafts too, because it'll block out airflow. So it's important to use, and I see a lot of videos. I know, like, I like to watch Bush Radical, and I think he's got a great channel, but he's always building these cabins with no moisture barrier. And as somebody that used to build condos and that kind of stuff, you know, I learned that you always had to put in a vapor barrier. And if you're going to permit a house, of course, you always have to put in vapor barrier. So I think it's you know, I'm not a big stickler on the rules for permitting and all that kind of stuff. Frankly, I'm pretty libertarian in my views. So I'm going to build a cabin in the woods. I should be able to build it any way I want. And I know for a Bush Radical, I'm sure that's his mentality too. However, personally, I don't think you should do that, because I think that you build a much better cabin when you have it properly sealed with a good vapor barrier. And I think that's something that is important to note. A lot of these cabin builds online, they build them really fast, you know, and that's great, but they make a lot of, you know, shortcuts. And one of them is no vapor barrier anywhere, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, every time I see that, they frame it up and then they just hammer the sheathing on the outside and they put the siding up and then they put some insulation and put some interior in, and that's really not the way you're supposed to do it, folks. All right, we're almost done here. I'm going to clean this up. I've got to go around and find any staples that are sticking out without breaking a window, and try to just make sure that, you know, any of these, like right there's something. Make sure all your nails are driven in, all your staples are driven in. Now, you'll notice that I'm missing a little bit of this felt right here, and what you can absolutely do is just put a little bit more along this layer. Any kind of vapor barrier can go on here. There's actually vapor barrier between the paneling and the insulation. I use craft-backed fiberglass bats, so I have a vapor barrier there. I also use plastic if the craft bats aren't solid enough or something, you know, they get torn up or something. I'll tape them, I'll cover them in plastic, all that kind of stuff, and make sure that I got a vapor barrier. Well, you'll lose that right here if you don't cover that up. So I will, if nothing else, one of the things that I will do, if I don't have a good vapor barrier material for this small little space here, you know, where I've got just maybe an inch that I need to cover, I'll just tape it with some tape, you know, some duct tape or something, which will work as a good enough vapor barrier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish cleaning this all up, get this all sorted out, get some vapor barrier around the edges here, even though it's excessive probably. And then once that's done and this is all cleaned up, then I'll go ahead and cut the window box pieces, get them all sorted out, get it cut in here, and staple that sucker in. I got a brad nailer I'll use, and I'll just brad nail that in, and at least that'll get that part done. And then I can worry about the exterior window trim later. But for now, at least we'll get this part done, and that'll make Darcy pretty happy. So now, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some out there that say, you can't use duct tape as vapor barrier, to which I would reply, well, I can. Whether it's the right thing to do or not, I guess it's a matter of opinion. My opinion is it actually works all right. Good to go. Simple, folks. Super simple. All right, now we need to get some measurements. I like to start on the bottom. I don't know why, I just do. Let's grab this power station, and I'll grab the front of it. Oh, ready? Up we go. Let's put it right here. I think that'll work. Okay, it'll be this way here. All right. Right there. Okay, perfect. Okay, now I think you have to hold the power button down. There we go. You gotta hold the power button down. Hold the power button, Eric. Every one of these power stations is slightly different. Now, if you're watching this video, you're asking yourself why, when he's got a generator running and plenty of solar power, well, there's no sun today, but plenty of power in his cabin, why would he pull out a big old power station and use that to power a miter saw? And that'd be a valid question if you were to ask that question. And I'll tell you, the reason is because I've tested the power station, so that I can tell you whether I think that power station is any good or not, folks. That is what we're doing. You ever sharpen these pencils and they always break on you?
Yeah, I was using these like that, yeah.
It's always a pain in the butt sharpening these because it always breaks. Right, we got 20 what? 24 and what?
24 and 5/8.
24 and 5/8?
Yes.
Measure twice, cut twice. Good job, Eric. Folks, if you want to know whether these power stations can handle it, 971 watts coming out running my air compressor. It does tell me I've only got 2 hours of runtime. Well, that makes sense with a 2,000 watt hour battery. 986, we're still pulling it. We're up to almost 75 PSI in the air compressor. Oh, we're over 1,000. 1,004, this thing is going, folks. 110 pounds. Look at that, folks. We are abusing this AFERY 2400 watt inverter, 2,000 watt hours. We are abusing this AFERY power station, folks. They don't imagine you're gonna do this, I guarantee it. It should kick off here in a second. There it goes, and no more. And look at that. All right. That thing wasn't even smoking. I was kind of wondering if we're gonna let some smoke out of it. All right, I have to move this compressor so that I can use it up in the loft. Oh, don't tell my wife that I moved this. She's gonna say, wait, Tim was there. How come Tim didn't do it? Because I'm not gonna ask Tim to do everything. Let's get in here. Oh, nothing like working across a bed, though, I'll tell you that. We want to go 23 and a half plus the 1/16 of an inch. It's the cabin. It's not the Taj Mahal. All right, there we go. So still got, you know, we need to put some silicone in to seal it up, but I think you see, it looks pretty good. Darcy's going to be thrilled. Looking good. Well, there you have it, folks. Got the window boxed in. It looks good. I'm happy with it. Still got a little work to do with it, but you know, we got some of that done. So now I got a question for you. You want to see more of this kind of stuff about working in the cabin, doing the trim, that kind of stuff, with a little bit of the old Jarhead's philosophy on doing it right, or at least mostly right, because not everything's perfect. If you do, drop your comments down below. Let me know. I'd be happy to bring more to you. But for now, I'm going to drop another video right here for you to check out. Y'all have a great day. The old Jarhead out.